What is up, guys, and welcome back to OWL by the Numbers, your one-stop spot for all things fantasy Overwatch League. I am your host, Malik Drunk, and tonight on episode number 18, we'll be taking a look at what's new for the Overwatch League come Stage 3, get you caught up to speed on the most recent player movements in the league, get you primed for your unlimited drafts, and make our picks for some of this week's marquee matches, and so much more. But before we can jump into the agenda for tonight and introduce you to my co-host, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who is joining us tonight on Twitch for our live show, and of course to thank all of our repeat listeners out there. So, joining me tonight, we are a man down because Bob is doing our recap tonight just due to him being sick yesterday, but we do have two of my other co-hosts joining me. So first up, literally minutes removed from leaving the winner circle at around the payload, finally joining the ATP winners is my H&D co-host, Ednar. Ed, congrats on the big win. I'm glad you could bring home the W.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun over there. I was able to, bring home the win like you have, but nobody else on our network has. So not only am I the reigning Unlimited League champion, I am the reigning Around the Payload champion. Like, I didn't think my head could get any bigger, yet here we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone's better off for it.
I don't know about that much.
But I will say, it's been a long time with no Overwatch League.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a bit rough. Like I said last week, I resubbed to WoW. I'm having actually a lot of fun. I found a good guild, Venerable Watchers. It's guild I'm in, Portside. A lot of fun. Shout out to you guys. And just doing a lot of random gameplay. Hearthstone is still amazing as always, with all the new PvE stuff that it's never ending.
That's a lot of replay value.
It's. I didn't think you could have replay value in a card game like that. Non-player versus player.
Mm-hmm.
And they managed to do it, and it's shocking to me. So, I'm having a lot of fun. And then, it's summer. It's summer in Wisconsin. I spend weekends out on the boat, have a few cocktails. I do what I do.
A few.
I mean, I have to drive, so I am the designated boat driver, which I know a lot of you are thinking like, oh shit, they're going to get into a boat accident. I actually go about 2 to 3 miles per hour around the whole lake. So there's no possible way for me to get into an accident. Half the time I let my 3-year-old niece drive.
All I got out of that is basically your 3-year-old niece can drive just as good as you.
Stay out of the lakes.
Don't go into water. Hasn't Jaws taught you anything?
Dude, alright, the lake I go on at my parents' house, the deepest part of the lake is like 5 feet. If there's a shark in that lake, some a-hole kid put that shark in the lake. And that shark is gonna die, for starters.
Or just an inflatable raft.
I mean, there is inflatable flamingo rafts.
Mm-hmm.
Does that count?
I mean, that's far less menacing, I would imagine.
Yeah, but if I had a lot of drinks, it could cause some issues. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll let you continue.
But anyways, also with me, is my fantasy OWL partner in crime, that being none other than Ramses. Ramses, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm just trying to remember, Totem, are we still the reigning champions in the league that we share a team?
We are currently tied for first with, I believe, A. Smith.
Well, it's better than Ednar, so I'll take it. It's been good.
Wait, whoa. You're not getting away with that.
In that league specifically.
Which I am a co-owner in that league, so I'm only half responsible.
You're a co-owner, quote unquote, but Bob, we know Bob's not the one making the roster moves, so I'm pretty sure.
But Bob made all the decisions on the drafting. And when he's
okay. Wait a second. Let me bring this back really quick. Was it not Ednar who very recently just said that fantasy is not one with the drafts, it was one with the with a movement.
You got Sinatra in that league too, didn't you? I think you're fine.
No, we didn't. Not in that league.
Thank
We've
goodness.
done good though. We're in like 3rd place though. 4th place.
Technically 4th, but
I don't know.
technically
There's a couple of owners that are like within a game of one another.
We're coming for you too this year. I feel if we play each other in stage 3, me and Bob need to come up with a friendly bet against you two, which we will dominate.
I mean, we're already up 2-0.
Well, you know what? That was pre-stage 1 and 2. It's not like the meta's changed.
What do you mean that was
Oh, wait.
pre-stage 1 or
Yeah,
2?
All right,
Wait, way to
pre-stage-
get your
pre-stage
words mixed
3.
up. See,
Dang
I
it.
can't even take you straight right now. You can't even
Nah,
actually
Ed
talk.
used all of his focus and his dedication to get through around the payload and get the win. And then
I'm
he's just gonna
sorry, I can't
completely
hear you
lose.
over my unlimited league championship from stage 2.
Yeah, but you know
Congrats.
what? It's not how you finish in the stage; it's how you finish at the end of the season. So
Tell
we'll
it to
we'll
the
see.
NYXL.
Yeah, but the difference is they actually have playoffs. We don't.
So it's been a good stage break, I would say. We've been hanging out, talking. Did push the point, of course, with these gentlemen, and then had our good friend Necro on the cast. We did I did the weird thing, of course, of having recording a while before our normal record date. So it's been like a week and a half since we did the show. So all of a sudden it feels like you feel super rusty getting back into it for the first time in 8 days. But glad to be back, glad to be hanging. Side note, did you guys see the jerseys they were teasing today?
The alternate jerseys that were literally all over the place,
You
just
mean
focusing on player crotches. Yeah, those.
Yeah, be like, by jerseys, you mean bulges?
Well, you could tell they're all right, everybody's going to be in the joggers to get as much room as possible just to make sure we have nothing
Yeah,
in the
because
picture.
the last thing the Overwatch League needs is to show a bulge from an 18-year-old Korean kid. Let's be real. That'd be a PR nightmare.
Definitely. But as long as Fanatics isn't the ones directly making them, which...
You know they are.
They are, so I'm still not going to buy them, but I hold out a small bit of hope that maybe, just maybe, it's a limited run. Overall, doing good. Happy to be back. Happy to be hanging out again.
So with that being said, of course, Stage 3 kicks off this week, and we finally got some announcements in regards to what maps we're going to be seeing, and also what patch are we going to be played on.
Well, we got an announcement and then a revised announcement. We're gonna be
Yeah, someone kind of made a typo in regards to this announcement. So Ramses, what's coming with Stage 3 of the Overwatch League?
Alrighty, so continuing the tradition of putting in new maps that everyone universally likes into the game, quote unquote. So this stage is going to be the introduction of Havana as a map in the rotation.
You got it wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah, it's Havana Onana.
Yeah.
That's how you have to say it.
At least the first time. Then you can go back to normal.
So Havana Unana is being introduced into the map pool for this stage, meaning it'll be one of our 3 escort maps. So the map pool for the stage is going to be for Control, Ilios, Oasis, and Nepal. For Assault, everybody's favorite map in the whole world, Paris, Volsky Industries, and Horizon. Hybrid's going to be Hollywood, Eichenwald, Lumbani, and then, like we just said, Escort's going to be Havana, Watchpoint Gibraltar. No, you said the first time. Watchpoint Gibraltar, and
He
Dorado.
said the first time. I didn't. You have to say it every time.
And then map order is going to be the same: Control, Assault, Hybrid, Escort, and then Control again if we need a tiebreaker for map 5. So map pool's pretty standard. Always wanted to see more Route 66, and it's like they'll never put it in. Like, it's so rare that we actually see it in the map pool. But I always want it. And then, of course, after the new map pool, so they're going to be introducing a more of a fixed schedule for the way Match of the Week is going to work. So throughout Stage 3, Match of the Week is going to be on Sunday, usually as the first match of the day. And so they really want to focus a lot of the viewer attention on Sunday, not Sunday morning, Sunday afternoons, just because that also kind of seems to be a little bit of a weak point in the viewing schedule that you can't really attest to it being weekdays when people are busy. So Throughout the match of the week, we play on Sunday, often as first match of the day. And in order to accomplish this, we've adapted a flex system, allowing us to shift matches around to feature specific matchups, which means that they move the stage 3 schedule around a little bit, from what it seems like. So our full match of the week schedule is going to be week 1, the Excelsior versus the Spitfire. Week 2, Dynasty versus the Shock. Week 3, Fuel versus the Hunters. Week 4, Titans versus Gladiators. And week 5, Mayhem versus the Atlanta Reign for the Atlanta homestand. Which,
how much does that burn that the Mayhem are in the match of the week and the Outlaws aren't?
it doesn't burn at all.
Well, like, that's kind of like the odd duckling out of that 5 parent, I would say.
Well, it makes sense in that, like, it's the Reign homestand weekend. Although you wouldn't know it because they've barely said anything since the initial announcement. So.
Well, and also, let's be real. There's not a lot of good teams that are going to be at that homestand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you have the Charge, Dragons, Justice, Mayhem. Those are not your ideal teams.
Yeah, I mean, Dragons are kind of like in that middle of the clump,
They're
7
in
and
the
7.
middle. But you don't have outside of NYXL, you don't have a top 6 team in there. So, like, you have middle of the road to trash tier. The only team they're missing is the Outlaws.
Mm.
Like, if they had the Outlaws, they'd have the bottom 4 teams.
And Waterloo.
Exactly.
So all 5 of these games are going to be starting at noon every single Sunday. And I just want to get your guys' thoughts. What do you think? Do you think this is going to have any actual impact on Sunday viewership? Because I feel like we're getting to the point where people are going to watch the team they want to, like their personal team they want to watch, regardless.
I mean, I feel like, for the most part, it's just going to depend on what teams are going to be involved. I mean, you look at some of these matches. I mean, New York versus London should be a really good game. Dynasty versus Shock is another pretty notable game as well. Fuel Hunters could be pretty interesting. I feel like the Titans Gladiators is probably going to be pretty one-sided. But at the end of the day, like, they're just trying to bring more people in, whether... is this, like, the same time that they're doing the Disney XD one? Like, are those the times that line up, or was it some other times?
Yes.
I can't remember.
Matches kick off at noon and will be live streamed on Twitch and broadcast live on Disney XD.
Okay, so it's probably just going to be more of a push to see if they could do better on TV ratings, to see how well they can do there. Because, like, I feel like, kind of like throughout the season so far, like, our Twitch numbers have actually been pretty good. The average... minute audience across the board for all the platforms has actually been exceeding the expectations that a lot of us kind of set forth, knowing that we were going to be in a 3-3 meta. So I feel like at the end of the day, like, we're probably not going to see a huge fluctuation in regards to the viewership. But I have a feeling it's still going to steady out over the course of the second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with Totem more on this. Like, it's not for the Twitch viewership, because that's going to stay the same regardless. People are going to watch the entire day. We're not quite at the point where people are tuning in just for specific games. But this is more for TV viewership. You want to put non-duds on TV. Like, you want to put interesting games. That's why you're getting some of these games. Like, Fuel versus Hunters for week 3 may not be the best matchup of the week. I mean, New York versus London is playing that week. That seems like a pretty darn good game. But Dallas versus the Hunters could be a more entertaining game for television. And I think that's why they're kind of doing something like this. Is they're taking the, other sports do this. You get the more interesting game in the more prime TV spot. NFL flexes games, baseball flexes games to fit who's playing who when to get more viewership, and that's just them doing that. So it's good for them.
Yes, some of which too are like rivalry games as well.
And even then, the Fuel is a team that still has like a pretty big fan base regardless. So, like, them and Hunters is going to be a good game, but you're also getting a team with a lot of, like, fan visibility and fan support out on a primetime slot as well.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing from all this that they dropped, from a fantasy perspective is the map pool, obviously. Less so like, we have Ilios, Oasis, and Nepal, like whatever. Those we know about. But you're getting more of Paris, which, well, for starters, sucks. But
Paris,
you're going to see a lot more bunker comp from that. Numbani. Numbani is, on point A at least, a pretty good bunker comp map. Eichenwald, you can definitely set up bunkers there. Hollywood, you can probably even set up bunkers. Havana, we just don't know yet what kind of comps are going to be run on there. So it's probably going to be goats, but I could also see like point B having bunker capabilities. So you could start to see some of these maps turn out to be a lot of bunker comps, which could boost certain, the Orisa players or the people who switch over to Bastion. And as much as I kind of crapped on him, Surefour has played Bastion a decent amount for the Gladiators. He could come in on these maps and play Bastion. So, that's probably, from a fantasy perspective, the most important thing, outside of we have no change in the patch. Wah, wah.
Well, and that was the other thing too. So this morning, as of Tuesday, whatever day it is, when we're recording this, the original announcement had that the patch on PTR was going to be the live patch. So 1.37, which had the McCree changes, which had the D.Va Matrix length changes, which had, I think, some Baptiste changes as well. And it went up, and then I think like within 5 or 10 minutes, somebody went and made the giant edit and reposted it to put it back to patch 1.36, which of course is the patch that we're currently playing on live. So I'm, on one hand, I'm not happy is not the word I would use, but I am, at least it reflects what the current state of the game is, because that was the whole point, was that the reason we have these longer breaks was to have patches that have more, like, that are matching more to what we're seeing on live servers. It is still frustrating though that, number one, it took them this long to make any sort of announcement about it, because us here in podcast world, we've been going back and forth for the last 3 weeks about whether or not they were going to actually put in a new patch or we were going to see comp changes at all. So I think on that, and then also it's just frustrating because anything to kill ghosts at this point is kind of what we're getting to, what we're hoping for. And the McCree changes are impressive. I am right there, but it would also be cool just to see something different than goats. But I don't know. Do you guys think we're going to see any sort of change or development with this patch currently going in?
Nope.
That's a big.
It's gonna be more the same. Everyone better strap in for another Shock Titans finals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe stage 4 will be different, but like, everyone is clamoring for this 2-2-2, and I agree with it from a certain point of view, but it is really truly the nuclear option of going 2-2-2, because you're not just changing the game for the better, you're changing it to get rid of goats, and you're changing the fundamentals of the game. I still think they need to work on trying to do hero balance to get rid of goats first, and maybe even introduce a new hero that specifically counters goats to get rid of it.
The problem with that, Ed, is the fact that they've tried to counter goats and make changes to the heroes that are involved in it, and that has not worked.
Now, we don't know if, like, alright, so let's say, their last hero. Who knows, if that was countered towards goats, but this next hero may be made specifically to counter goats.
Possibly.
Well, the point you could even still make is that, and I'm not super affiliated with the Contenders Korea scene, but we're seeing goats kind of phase out in certain portions of competition while it's still really dominant in others. You could still make the point that other comps are as viable and that people are just more willing to stick to goats because it's what the easy goat, it's not even the easy, but it's what the just most consistently effective option is going to be.
Right, not to mention it's some more practice of the two. But anyway, so, like, with patch 1.36, I know there was, like, a couple of, like, quality of life changes. I know one of them was,
Yeah.
like, for Wrecking Ball's Minefield. There were a couple other ones, but nothing, like, anything, like, ground-shattering.
No, it was that like so Baptiste's immortality field and then Wrecking Ball's mind field. If you throw them on a moving platform, they will now move along with the platform. So that was the big thing.
So that'll come into play with, like, Volskaya.
If
Potentially.
that.
out of this map pool. But of course, you know, there was also the announcement that we are going to get Overwatch League replays in Stage
Yes.
3. And that will be a standalone client, so you'll be able to, you know, spectate first, third person, or even like the bird's eye view that we can see from the spectator client. And they did say that matches will be made available in the viewer the Monday after each week concludes in the US.
And
So
Tuesday everywhere else.
yeah, so I know, like, for us as content creators, we've been really looking forward to this. You know, it's a little bit unfortunate that we have to wait for everything to drop, like, in the same day, rather than everything just being, like, on a one-day delay when the game happens, but I'm excited to check it out, as I'm sure all of you guys are as well. But, you know, from a fantasy perspective, you know, maybe we could, take a closer look at some of these Brig bots and see exactly why they're not scoring any points.
I had a thought. So two thoughts. Number one, this is definitely going to make critique of everybody's play a lot more obvious and a lot stricter, in that certain players probably could get away with maybe not playing up to a same consistent standard every single time just because you're in a team of 6. But now with these viewers, every person's little mistakes are going to get exposed. So it's like the teams have had this for a while, you know that, but us actually having it out here in the general public is going to do wonders as far as public debate about team play. From a fantasy perspective, I want to talk about this since we're not doing a 2-2-2 lock, and also since I don't think we're doing voucher slash tonight. I think it is finally time for, if you have any superstars who are being benched right now because it's not their meta, just to go ahead and get rid of them at this point. Honestly, like Fleta, I'm trading or getting rid of it. I've held him for this entire season. I'm not holding him for 3 stages for him to not play up to like what I need him for.
Mhm.
I think you can make the same argument for Surefour as well. That cool, he's coming in for one map as Bastion, but he's not worth a spot on your roster, let alone a starting spot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can throw Striker in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Architect.
Architect, half the New York Excelsior roster. Like, really, at this point, you can toss. Yeah, there's a lot of players that you're just. I mean, even a lot of. Outside Jaehong and Jaehong from the Dynasty, I don't know if there's anyone. Maybe Michelle. There's no one you can really trust on the Dynasty.
Well,
Yeah, I think-
I would say I wouldn't drop any Dynasty yet unless they haven't been in that starting 6 for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I
like
think-
Fissure, droppable.
Fisher's droppable, Fleta's droppable. Yeah.
The Houston Outlaws, droppable.
You know, it'll be an interesting stage for the Outlaws. I made this prediction. I think
It's the same stage. It's literally, you just got over talking about how same.
No,
Nothing's gonna change. They all suck.
this schedule is slightly easier, is what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
at least if
it's slightly easier for a shit team.
we're playing all
like,
the other shit teams.
So,
That's the thing.
so instead of going 0-4 in 20 minutes in a map, they're gonna go 0-4 in 22 minutes.
And we'll make a bet later on. I've
Okay. Easiest bet of my effing life.
While you guys debate how long it's going to take the Outlaws to lose in record fashion, let's talk about some of the recent player movement that has gone down here recently. So, looking at the Florida Mayhem, that transition to move into an all-Korean roster has come to completion by they release Apply and to Vic. S&T also left the Mayhem, and he was kind of like a substitute tank. He was also helping out the coach and staff. We also saw Asher the DPS from Toronto Defiant retire from professional play. He'd only played like one game this season, so you probably didn't have him drafted in your leagues, but if you do have any of those players, be sure to drop them. I think Apply out of the lot's probably going to be a likely option to get signed by another team at some point.
His Twitter sounds like he's talking about I'm looking forward to competing. Like, I'll see
yeah,
you guys soon.
he did the one eye. He didn't have two eyes.
That means contenders.
That could be.
Like it's most likely contenders.
Well, speaking of contenders, this is something that I know I'm really excited about. Elk has actually decided to rejoin Fusion University. So there was this thing that happened, during the mid-season break. We had the Contenders Showdown events. We had the Atlantic, we had the Pacific. We saw Element Mystic take the Pacific in dominant fashion, and then Fusion Uni comes into the Atlantic Showdown and just decimates everyone that stood in their path. We had an all-NA finals. EU lost a spot, South America lost a spot, Australia lost their sole spot, and Fusion Uni are actually ditching North America because they've won every championship every season so far. 5 championships in under 2 years, and now they're going to be competing in Korea, and they'll be in Trials Korea, which starts this week, and I know their first match was already postponed due to a flight delay, but, this is going to be a really good test to see how good Fusion University is going to do against the top Korean teams, and, if they finish in the top 2, they will move into Contenders Korea, so it's exciting times, and they don't have to break apart their team in order to compete in a region, which it would kind of have to do with the region lock rule if they were to stay in NA.
I think they just moved Car to being inactive was the only thing they did.
Yes.
Yeah, because he can't really play there because they, like Totem had said earlier, not on this podcast, but to me earlier, how they have very restrictive rules for people under 18 from outside the country working in Korea. So, and this also brings back the option to bring Who Are You back in.
I have not heard any update, but I did look on a roster for Meta Athena, who he is on loan to, and Who Are You is still on Meta Athena.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I have a lot of thoughts on this, but a lot of it is not fantasy relevant. All I'm going to say is piss off. F you. I'm happy they're going to create contenders. I think it's super crappy of them to qualify for the Atlantic Showdown and go to the Gauntlet representing an NA team to immediately be like, nope, screw you, we're going to Korea.
I don't think that's how it's going to work. I don't think they're going to get one of the NA slots. They're going to have to earn one of the KR ones.
If they don't, awesome. That's what should happen. But if they get to go and represent NA from Korean contenders, F you. Ha! See what I did there?
Definitely. Side note, how funny was it just to hear all the trash talk for the past couple of months about how European GOATS is going to crush North America, how North America is full of crap teams. And then as soon as Europe lost to North America, it immediately was like, oh, well, mixed rosters, and oh, you guys have a bunch of Koreans, and oh... It's like, bruh, that didn't matter when you were going to crush us in GOATS. Remember how Angry Titans was supposed to beat freaking Runaway? Get out of here.
Yeah, remember London Spitfire and how they're all Korean? Guys, imagine, losing in your own house. Just imagine that. Angry Titans actually did that.
And not only to, another EU contenders team, a team from America came over and beat you in your house.
Atlanta Academy shut out British Hurricane 3-0.
So, here's one other thing. So, on Around the Payload, when I won, humble brag, at the end, I ended my victory speech with "Suck it, EU." And you know what? Couldn't have ended any better. Because suck it, EU. Yes, our top team went to Korea. But our second and third place teams destroyed your EU teams. So, suck it, EU.
From the Mayhem standpoint with applying to Veek, it's weird because it's something we expected. We knew that they were going to be inactive and that they weren't going to play, but we were expecting them to either leave the team or be released, but that doesn't mean it doesn't sting at least a little bit. I don't know. Tavik is somebody who, regardless of his level of play, has done a lot for Misfits as an organization. We talk about how he was the one driving the bus from their super distant apartment complex all the way over to the Overwatch League because Misfits didn't bother to hire a bus driver.
I mean, the thing is Tavik he's not known for being good in the Overwatch League.
No.
He's not. He is a god, though, pre-Overwatch League.
Oh, he's a heritage player for sure. He's somebody
him and Taimu are probably the two biggest names pre-Overwatch League in competitive Overwatch. And Pluppy, I'm going to call him Pluppy now because Tavik is his Overwatch League network name, or Overwatch League name, not his Overwatch name. So it's Pluppy, the star of the teams of My Dong and IDDQD. The team, not the player.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that.
He actually got into Overwatch. I watched and followed him from the get-go, and I became obsessed because of him. So this was very sad for me. Now, from a fantasy perspective, it means absolutely nothing, because if you still had Tavik on your team, you haven't looked at your team.
Probably all season.
Yeah. So, it sucks. He's gone. He's not going to re-sign with another team. Let's just say that right now.
Yeah.
Apply has a chance to, because Apply's Sombra was pretty good. That's kind of what he was on a 2-way contract for. Originally, is he was kind of like the Sombra specialist for the Mayhem until they decided to go all Korean. So it'll be interesting to see who he signs with. But we won't see Apply this year in Overwatch League. Maybe next year.
I can see that. And, shifting gears into, your starting lineups for this week, I do quickly want to note for the people that are in a raw scoring leagues, which teams do play 2 games in Stage 3, week number 1. So those teams include Atlanta, Boston, Chengdu, Dallas, Guangzhou, both LA teams, London, New York, Paris, Seoul, and Vancouver. Now, with that being said, of course, every week we'd like to set up the table for our unlimited lineups. And Ed, you won the last stage. You're not winning overall, but you won the last stage. So let's have you take the helm of this one, and let us know who you're looking at starting this week in your unlimited draft.
Well, as your current unlimited champion,
thank goodness his mic keeps cutting out whenever he says that.
I know.
I have to start that every sentence with "as your current unlimited."
And
champion.
Some people are probably gonna cry foul that I'm the one doing that, and he just does it by himself.
Yeah.
Just sheer power.
So I actually looked at the matchups. There's a lot of really good fantasy matchups. You're looking at the London Spitfire have some good matches. They play Boston. They play New York Excelsior. That's good matchups. Even New York.
I like how he listed New York facing New York.
London facing New York. Shut up. New York faces London, and then they face the Outlaws. So not the greatest, but decent, at least 1-game matchups versus London. The Valiant actually have good matchups going up against Shanghai and Chengdu. So for my tank line, what I decided to do is I went Space because he has really good matchups. They're not playing anybody overly good and not anybody that is complete crap. So I went with Space, and then I went with the human Gravity Eater in Fury. It's hard not to pick him. He has probably been the best off tank in the league. In supports, I went Bedosian and I went Jonak. Both have good matchups this week. Both have 2 matchups this week. So one is a downfall. They can fall back on the other match. That's the nice thing about Unlimited. Yes, sometimes there's better matchups for people only having 1 game. But if you have somebody who has 2 decent matchups, they only need to score high in one of those 2 games because it's not raw. So I picked up those 2. I went with Decay, who has a pretty good matchup this week. He plays the Fuel and then the Vancouver Titans. So pretty good matchup for them. And then I went with Nene, the human grab whiffer, as my other.
Leave the boy alone.
I will say, Ed, you and I drastically have different lineups this week.
And that's rare for us.
Yes.
We usually have very similar. And then my captain, I went with the Shoo train.
Okay.
Shoo. Because the thing is, he's just performing so well. Like, even when his team was crap last stage, he was still performing at a high fantasy level. So, Shu, Decay, Nene, Bidoshin, Jonak, Space, Fury. That's who I went with. Totem, who do you go with? Or, yeah, I'll go with you.
I will say, Ed, like, I was looking at a lot of the players that you listed, but most of them I had as, like, alternates. So these were a lot of ones that I was kind of, like, flipping back and forth on. So, in regards to my tank line, I did go with Fury. That's actually the only person that you and I both have in our starting lineup this week, as opposed to having, like 5 or 6 out of the 7 the same. So I went with Fury, and I paired him with Michelle. Because the Dynasty across the board have been putting up monster fantasy numbers, and I do have 3 Dynasty players in my lineup this week.
I wanted to put Dynasty players because they have good matchups. It's one of those things I can't trust them. Because I know you can't really take into account Scrimbucks, but like when you're looking at it, you know, you have the screenshots out there of Hylia and Illicit playing as, you know, on the team now that they're actually in NA. They're not still in Korea. I wouldn't put it past Seoul Dynasty from playing Hylia Illicit. 2 separate players, not one. So like I can't trust them this week. I'd be very confident going into week 2 with Seoul Dynasty
Once
players.
you see the lineup.
Once I see the lineup, but they have changed their lineup so much that going blindly into stage 3, not knowing what they're going to do, I just can't put 100% faith in them.
I can understand that. I'm just more confident just due to the fact that they pretty much stuck with that through Stage 2, and without any changes in the meta, they would more than likely end up sticking, with the path that they have been on. But anyways, so that was my tank line. Moving over to supports, I have Aim God and Ryu Jaehan. Jaehan I picked as my mid-season MVP. He's definitely been putting up some pretty monster numbers, really getting back to form, which I absolutely love to see. So my DPS lineup, I'm uncertain about my DPS 2 right now. I have Nene as I have him as my alternate right now, but right now I'm putting Fitz in that spot. And both of them have been pretty even in regards to fantasy numbers, so that one's going to be a coin toss. And my other DPS slot, I have Prophet, our MVP. And for my captain, I went with Color Hex. Like, I feel like Boston is still a team that a lot of people are overlooking, whether it is just at the Overwatch League level or even in fantasy perspective. Boston is a very sneaky team in regards to the amount of points they've been putting up, so that's another one of those teams that I feel like a lot of people are still kind of undervaluing in regards to that DPS lineup, whether it is Blase or Color Hex.
Yeah, and those are all people I had on my list. I actually had it instead of Decay, and then I switched it because I'm like, I do not want to have all my, hens in the basket.
Mm-hmm.
With the London Spitfire, starting Prophet, Bidoshin, and Fury. Because, what happens if they actually have 2 crap games? I'm donezo because I started half my team is from the London Spitfire. So that's why I put in Decay, but Prophet is an amazing choice. Mm-hmm. I just went with Bidoshin from the Spitfire over Prophet.
Right.
But I agree with you completely with the Boston. Aim God is probably would have been my 4th support player picked.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, he's probably 3rd best. I just went with Shu as my wild card. Just because
flyer.
Yeah, the weekly flyer, and I took Shu. Kind of like how you're going with Color Hex.
Right, and just a quick note about Guangzhou Charge. Nero did turn 18 during the mid-season break, so you might see him getting incorporated into the starting lineup here in coming weeks as well.
We can only hope.
I mean, there's been a lot of ups and downs with that team. Hopefully, the somewhat easier strength of schedule can lead to more wins for them. But Ramses, who are you looking at this week in your Unlimited?
So mine's kind of a mishmash of both of yours. For my DPS line, I had a hard time deciding who my number 2 was going to be because there's a couple different options, but Color Hex,
Number 2 what?
DPS.
Okay.
I had a hard time deciding who my number 2 DPS was going to be. As always, trust in Color Hex every single week. So Color Hex is my 1. I think I'm going to go with Prophet as my 2, just because you have somebody who's always going to put up consistently good numbers. Jonak would be my support 1. Aim God as my support 2, because I owe Aim God my fantasy career at this point. And then so for me, the hard part is like what you guys said. It comes down, the hard part for me is tank, because I was pretty confident about starting Michelle no matter what. But I'm not sure between Fury and Space who really to go with, because Fury again will be like a consistent level of decent good points, but I think Space does have the potential to pop off in this week's matchup. But I mean, we saw when they played Chengdu, I'm looking at his point total, the guy only scored 91.45 points.
Yeah, we also kind of need to see like what the synergy is going to be on that Valiant front line between Space and Fact Fiction, since they do have a new main tank.
So that's the only thing. Fate may not actually survive in my Unlimited lineup till game day, but as of now, Space. But as of now, it's Space. Maybe Fury gets switched in, and then of course, I've learned I can never doubt having Ryu Jae-Hong as my captain. So, Jae-Hong as my captain until I am proven otherwise.
I mean, as long as he's putting up like 180 points every week, like he has been here in recent weeks, definitely not a bad play at all.
201 points in one game last week. Or not last week, but last game.
Which is crazy, because like if you in stage 1, 200 points was almost the norm for flex support. And then stage 2 comes around and minor changes, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, if you get 200 points in 1 week, you're in a game, you're a god.
Yeah, there was a lot of times when it would be like 130 to 150.
Yeah. So yeah, it's drastically changed, which is nice fantasy-wise. I'm wondering when they're going to introduce blocks or damage blocked as a stat. It's almost too far into the season for it to actually be implemented.
It would have had to go in during the halfway.
Yeah, because right now, if you put damage blocked in, main tanks become god tier. Because like they're already almost like they're not that drastically far behind off tanks without damage blocked. You throw in a whole new stat just for them. That's a lot of numbers right there. So, but yeah, no, this is a good week for Unlimited. There's going to be a lot of. It's going to basically come down to who gets to 5 maps this week, because there's so many good choices, and I think everyone's playing this week, which doesn't happen.
Which is why you gotta trust Boston, because Boston gets like a map 5 at least once every single week, almost.
Just about.
Yeah. It's just I don't like their matchups. Like I think they're gonna get rolled by Spitfire.
Didn't they beat Spitfire last time?
No, Spitfire won the prior meeting.
Yeah.
And it was 4-0.
Oh, well, forget what I said.
And then they play Paris, which will probably be a 4-0 on Boston's side, the way Paris is playing. So, I don't know. Like, I'm just not a huge fan of their matchups. So, that's the only reason. But yeah, usually they're good for a map 5. They're like Fusion University.
I think it just comes for me just riding the hot hand that they've been given every time. So
definitely,
I feel confident.
So knowing that we aren't going to see like any drastic changes in regards to the meta, just due to the patch that we are playing on, we have a lot of these teams that are clumped at like 8-6, 7-7. Couple of games within one another, and we have a lot of these matches actually this week for Stage 3, week number 1. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of our marquee matches of this week. And again, as per usual, we picked like one per day. So I'm gonna throw the pitch to you guys, and let me know who you think is gonna come out on top of these matches. So first up on Thursday, we have a match between the LA Valiant and the Shanghai Dragons. So looking at the records right now, the LA Valiant, you know, they've had a lot of struggles this season. They are coming into this game 3-11, and the Dragons are sitting somewhat comfortably at 7-7. Now, this is the first time that these teams have met this season, which is going to be a kind of a theme, as 3 of the 4 matches that I picked are a first meeting for this season. But the Valiant lately, they have picked up some momentum. They are coming off of back-to-back 5-map series, which they did end up splitting. So they took a map 5 against the Chengdu Hunters, but then they lost a 5-map series to the Seoul Dynasty, which was, a pretty big surprise that the Valiant were even able to get to that point. So going in, we got a lot of changes with the Valiant. You got Fact Fiction coming in. You have the Dragons who, they made the playoffs, but they didn't really perform that well, and they've been really having like a lack of Lucio and Diva play, which is very uncommon in the Overwatch League. So taking a look at the people at play right now, how confident are you guys that the Valiant can go head-to-head with Shanghai in this series?
I'll go first. I actually picked the Valiant to beat the Shanghai Dragons.
Same.
Because Valiant are on the rise. Like, everyone has this, the 0-7 Valiant from stage 1. That's not who we saw last stage.
The win zeros.
Win zeros. I mean, they went 3-4 last stage, and Shanghai went 4-3. The map differential was 6-map differential, but Shanghai actually, they made the playoffs with not that great of a map differential. It was 0. So, like, they lost as many maps as they won. They still made the playoffs. Like, they didn't blow anyone away. I think the Valiant will be rejuvenated by getting Fact Fiction as their new main tank, becoming... Hopefully they get Shax as their new DPS, because I think he should probably be in there as their starting DPS, and they're just going to get a jolt of energy and kind of take things over. So I think Valiant are going to beat Shanghai on Thursday. That'd probably be my upset of the week.
Same, and especially because we don't have any tape of this lineup playing together at all, so they get to come in with the full element of surprise. Yes, they're probably still playing goats, but it's at least with players who have different habits or different play styles and their people are already used to seeing. And hopefully a little bit more confidence than we've seen with LA with Fate at the helm. So I think it would not at all be surprising if the Valiant won this game. I picked them to win as well.
Interesting. All right, so moving on to our Friday matchup, we have the Boston Uprising, who are currently sitting at 7-7, going up against the London Spitfire, who are 9-5 this season. So these two teams did meet earlier this season, and London did sweep Boston 4-0 in this series. But, a lot of Boston has been about the optic of play that we have seen from this deep... I nearly said DPS lineup, but, really they're not actually playing DPS, but Color Hex and Blase have definitely been bringing a lot to the table as of late, and with London, there are like two sides to London. There are the London that at times can look like the best team in the league, and then of course there's the London who are very polarized, and that seem to kind of get snuffed out when kind of like the chips are on the table. So it's just one of those teams that are a good team, but they can also look really awful at times, and Boston kind of being that ultimate underdog can definitely take the fight to this team. But, with that 4-0 loss in the back of their minds, do you guys feel like that's going to come into play here in this particular series?
As much as I'm a Boston believer, and as much as I think this is a winnable matchup for them, I think that London's going to hopefully kick into the mode where we need to secure our spot for playoffs. It's time to get serious, time to lock down. I think London wins. I think it's a 3-2. I don't think it's either a 3-2 or a 3-1. I don't think it's a full 4-0 because Boston has been improving and improving. You have a full stage with RCK under your belt. I think Lennon wins, but I think it's closer than the last game.
It's 3-1 or I think the Spitfire have found their way. They've just kind of said screw the North Goats, and they're just like, we're gonna run our own goats or our own form of a comp and just go that route, and it's working for them. Boston is kind of reliant on Color Hex and Aim Gun at this point, and if you can shut those two down, I think you're good. Fusions, overrated. I'll say it. Like, he's Bumper on a budget. And that's not a good thing, because Bumper on a budget is just a crazy aggressive tank that punishes your own team. And it gets made up a lot from RCK on his Sombra play, Color Hex on his good Zarya play, and Aim God popping off. I think Boston is a fairly overrated team at this point, so I think Spitfire, I don't think they lose more than one map.
Bumper on a budget, I like it.
So controversial.
There's a lot of bumpers on a budget out there, let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
Every aggressive tank is Bumper on a budget.
Technically, like, every DPS in the league is Bumper on a budget.
No. If we're going DPS, that is like a Bumper on a pay raise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if he's playing actual DPS heroes. Bumper winning the lottery. That's what his DPS play is like.
Alright, we'll move into Saturday. We got a very interesting match against two 8-6 teams when the Hangzhou Spark go up against the Philadelphia Confusion. Okay, Ed, like, I can already see you wearing the pink and blue. We've kind of seen an uptick from the Spark as of late. They've been playing more Crystal. They have settled on playing a lot of Guxue at that main tank position, and the Fusion, while kind of being in the discussion, haven't necessarily been looking like a playoff team at times, but who knows? Maybe the Trash Goats will find a way to uproot the Fingerbanes in this series, but this should be a very interesting match, and this is the first meeting between these two teams, so are you guys favoring the uptick that we have seen lately from the Spark, or do you feel like we will see the clutch factor coming in for the Philadelphia Fusion?
I mean, the Spark are on the rise. Let's just be real there. They've been on the rise for almost the entire since stage 1. Like, they started off and then they slowly got better, and now I'd say they're top 6-7 team. Fusion is probably a top 8-9 team. I mean, I see your reaction. Like, if you look at it right now, Spark made the playoffs. Fusion was 11th.
Well, and I agree with you as far as the matchup. Like, until we have been proven otherwise, I think Spark takes it, sure.
Like, all right, do you think the Dallas Fuel are better than Spark?
Yes.
All right. Do you think that they're interchangeable though? Could you flip a coin between the two?
I think you can do that with any team ranked 7th through 16th.
Exactly. Like Dallas is probably, and Dallas, the Spark, and maybe Seoul are probably all in consideration for the 6, 7, 8 spot in the league. And it's just a matter of how you feel. I'm going to put Spark a little bit higher up because I think they're finally starting to play Crystal more, and that has really benefited them. So that's why I see this. And obviously, Philadelphia Fusion are handicapped by EQO.
And Sato. I mean, it's not just
EQO, but EQO is real bad on Big Ed.
Has he met most of the Outlaws players?
Well, most of the Outlaw players should be in.
You cut out there, so I missed what he said. Did you say trials?
Yes.
Okay.
I said most of the Outlaw players should be in trials. Like, and I don't feel like I'm gonna get much pushback to that because. They're the Outlaws.
Mm. It still hurts every time. Yeah, Hangzhou Spark beats the Fusion. I think until we have been shown otherwise, it's just not there from Philly. Sato's still a huge glaring weak point, and Sato's still not looking good. EQO still really doesn't look good. Hangzhou's the pick.
And I cannot wait for the replays to come out so I can just watch EQO and Hydration on Brick and just facepalm constantly. It's gonna be a good time. Make for some riveting entertainment. But anyways, moving into Sunday, we are going to continue the quest for perfection with the Vancouver Titans. We're coming in 14-0, going up against the LA Gladiators, who are 9-5. So these two teams have not met yet this season, and Titans. I mean, I don't think we really need to say how well they have done this season. Runaways not OWL level, lol. But the Gladiators, this is a team that kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start. They started to hit their stride in Stage 2, but they haven't quite yet hit that level where they've been able to beat the elite teams in the Overwatch League as of yet. Whether that's just due to the fact that they're not able to keep up the aggression, whether they're just punishing Hydration's positioning, things like that. There's definitely a lot of factors at play here, but do you feel like the Gladiators are going to be able to turn things around and maybe kind of like push out from the pack, knowing that, there are so many 8-6 and 9-5 teams so far?
They might do that possibly, but if they're going to beat, I don't think they're beating the Vancouver Titans. But I think that there's still definitely room for LA to grow. I think that LA could maybe beat New York. I think they're a good candidate for maybe team number 4, but nothing has been shown yet to prove to display that they could actually beat the Vancouver Titans or the San Francisco Shock. It just isn't there yet. It seems that they'll look really great until they get into these really top tier matchups to where all of a sudden it kind of starts to fall apart again.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ramsey's got it actually dead on. Like, Gladiators are probably 5th best team. It's a coin flip between them and the Spit for who gets number 4 and number 5. But they're so drastically far behind the Titans that the best they can hope for is 3-1 loss to the Titans. I'm thinking even more likely 4-0 for the Titans in this game. But that shouldn't dissuade Gladiators fans or the Gladiators players, because they're still a good team. They have a good tank line, they have a really good support line, and they have MF Decay out there, who is just the best. Just the best. So I wouldn't get too down after week 1 if you have the Titans. I mean, the Titans have lost 1 matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And that was to the Shock in the championship for Stage 2. Don't go in expecting to actually beat the Titans. You need to go in and not embarrass yourself, is almost what they need to do. And if they can get out of there without embarrassing themselves, I consider that a win.
If they don't give up like a 3-minute attack?
Yeah. I don't even know if that's possible. It's going to happen like in every Titans matchup.
Possibly. Well, speaking of the Gladiators, something that we haven't talked about lately is, what about Bishu? Do you guys feel like Bishu is going to return to the starting lineup at any point, or do you feel like he's kind of found a new home with their academy team in Gladiators Legion?
I feel like they would have made an announcement about it. That they would have at least... That's worth a Twitter post to at least be like, hey, Bishu is back. I don't know, because they made a post for him going down to Gladiators Legion. It would make sense for them to at least make a big deal, like, hey, he's coming back up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I mean, I don't think Bishu, even if he's up, he's not starting. The tank line for the Gladiators are actually... I think Bishu is a two-way player. As odd as it sounds, your tank line for Gladiators Legion especially now that they could actually legit get into the Atlantic Showdown.
Or the Gauntlet.
All right, sorry, the Gauntlet, due to FU saying FU to America and going to Korea, that opens up a spot in theory. And the Gladiators would have a very potent tank line of Panker and Bishu.
With XQC on the back.
No. No.
It could be so.
Stop it.
It's not gonna happen.
Oh, I don't expect it to
No.
ever happen. But it was.
But you know what I mean? Like, that would give more exposure to the Gladiators, give both Panker and Bishu a feel of, hey, we're actually contributing, instead of just playing, like, riding the pine. And you don't want, like, your bench players to feel like they're useless. So giving them something to actually do is nice. So
All I know is Bishu played out of his damn mind in Contenders this past season, and I'm looking forward to seeing him compete, whether it is at the main roster with the Gladiators or continuing to compete in Contenders North America. But with that being said, of course, guys, definitely tune in as Stage 3 kicks off this Thursday night. And, you know, definitely check out the replays whenever those go live, which will probably be that following Monday. But I don't think they actually said it is launching on Monday in that article.
For some reason, I thought I remember the phrase like the second half of the stage.
Okay, well, either way, keep an eye out in the client, because that's where it will be, just like the World Cup viewer. But with that said, I think it's time that, you know, we close things out for tonight. So if you guys want to help us out, one of the best things to do is to go leave us a review on iTunes or your podcasting app of choice. We're always looking for ways to improve the show to make for a better listening experience. You know, let us know if you don't like Ed constantly shilling his championships. You know, things like that.
I mean, I don't even have to shield them. They just keep coming.
They keep littering. He's like Reaper and shotguns.
Yeah, it's like they just fall into my laps because I'm so awesome.
Ed's trophy case is starting to get a little crowded.
It is.
The Outlaws can't say the same, though.
No, they can't.
We have a very nice and wide open trophy case that we have a lot of dust in there.
Well, I mean, soon enough you're not going to have a team, let alone a building that will have a trophy case. But with that being said, of course, you know, we have more ways that you guys can find other Overwatch-related content, which includes shows that all of us are on, respectively. That is over on Overwatch Recall. So, Ramses, what is Overwatch Recall?
So, Overwatch Recall, of course, is a podcast directory that the esteemed Totally Drunk puts together. So every single week, you'll be able to find an episodic listing of Overwatch, Overwatch League, and Path to Pro, just general Overwatch podcasts on our website at owlendshow.com/OWRecall. And episodic listings, they're released every Sunday, so once a week. And then it's a great place to be able to keep up just with the Overwatch podcast scene. You can see a lot of the people that we had on the roundtables the last couple of weeks. They're all listed on there. And you can follow the actual directory and then the occasional show itself at OW Recall on Twitter.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, I did actually guest on the Omnic Weekly on Sunday, so you can find that listed on there as well when I talked BlizzCart, which is a game that I really want them to make, and I know there is a workshop mode for Mario Kart, which is fun, but not as good as an actual Mario Kart game.
Since they did the roundtable at like 3 a.m. their time, did you do the roundtable at 3 a.m. your time? Did you do their episode at 3 a.m.?
I did not do it at 3 a.m. It was more 2:30 p.m. my time, but I did apologize to Hannah. I made sure to do that. I was like, well, you know, at least you guys didn't keep me up till like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez.
So with that being said, just a quick announcement. We do have our Overwatch League Network game night coming up. That is on Saturday, June 15th. We'll be kicking things off at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So hop on our Discord. Of course, we'll be streaming the games live on our channel, so join us for a night of custom games, including some workshop modes, gun game, player drafts, all of that good stuff. It should be a good time. Maybe we'll pit some of the hosts against one another in gun game. I think that would be...
You gotta get in here
exciting.
because this is your one chance to get in a server and talk trash directly to Edinar. Just to
Bring it on.
Like, how about this? Instead of just writing a negative iTunes review, just come on the server and just say it directly to Ed's face.
Perfect.
I'll take it.
I
Because
can't think
you
of a
know
better
what?
way to do it.
You know what I'll do with all that? I'll turn it into I'm a champion. Because you know what? I am a champion.
We'll just get him.
I'll tell you what, Ed. If you win a host gun game, I'm trying to think how many skins I'll wager on this, because I know you're not gonna fucking win.
I mean, that's fair, but the thing is I could also just play it off that I took pity on all of you.
Yeah, okay.
I've seen you play.
Okay, Mr. 5K.
Hey, I main Reinhardt for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not
So you
because
don't
my
have to
aim is
shoot?
great. Yes, 1000%.
It should be fun. The only thing you can't do is we can't play Super Smash Brothers arcade mode or workshop mode
Oh, we can.
because
It
I
hurts
don't know
my
how to
eye.
play it.
Well, speaking of which, Ed, I know there's one that's more like an actual fighting game that I saw posted
Yeah.
as well. As well as a couple of
Darwin's been
other...
recently.
Yeah, Darwin's been, like, knocking it out of the park. But we'll talk more about Darwin streams on Heroes Never Die tomorrow. So, Ed, why don't you go ahead and let our listeners know how they can contact the show, and we could close things out.
All right, you can reach us, contact the show through email at contact@owlnshow.com. We are on Twitter, so come over there. We're at OWL by the numbers. We do have a website where all of our podcasts are loaded and all our YouTube videos are at owlnshow.com. We do have a YouTube channel, and that's youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. We are on Discord, which you will need to join to participate in our game night, and that's discord.me/OWLNshow. We are streaming presently live on Twitch at twitch.tv/OWLNshow. We are Twitch affiliates, so come help support the show by subscribing to our channel and earn our network emoticon. So our podcast does stream pretty regularly. So Overwatch League Network airs Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. Tuesdays, we have this show, OWI by the numbers, at 6 p.m. Pacific. And then Wednesday, we have the show I do with Totem, Heroes Never Die, and that's at 5 p.m. Pacific. And then host streams, when available, will be on Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. We do have a Patreon. So if you want to come help support the show, you can come over to patreon.com/OWL Network. Tiers start at just $1, so anything you can contribute would be awesome. You too can join the likes of our master and above patrons in Blazing Bob, Brendan, Joe Zabel, and OWL in
Joe
helping.
Zabel?
Joe Zabel? Joe Zabel?
Have we confirmed that's the way it's pronounced?
Joe Zabel?
Jozabal? Jozabal?
Joe
Maybe?
Zabel?
You guys are probably going to trigger him every time you say it wrong.
Yep.
Just call him Joe. Just keep it simple.
Joe.
Leave an
All right,
iTunes
Joe.
review telling us how to spell it
Or
correctly.
because or we could just call him Jay-Z, since he capitalizes both.
Yes. All right. So Jay-Z and OWL and helping our network should grow. So special shout out to OWL becoming our newest patron. OWL Owl.
His avatar is an owl, so I'm just
Okay.
I'm
so
throwing
we're
it out
going with
there.
Owl. All right. Random.
You can find Blazin' Bob on Twitter at Blazin_BOB. That's Blazin_BOB.
Shut up. Random Marvel fact.
Oh, it's a fact. He's not going to
Yes.
question us.
Because
Okay.
it's not questions.
You can
All
find
right.
Ednar on Twitter at
Shut up.
EdnarOverwatch.
Shut up. Shut up. Nick Fury. Can you guess who Nick Fury is based on?
Well, this iteration is legit based on Samuel L. Jackson. Like, they made it from the start that it was going to be him in the comic.
Correct. But the creators of the actual Nick Fury character
Yeah, like,
in the comics based it off Samuel L. Jackson. And then he happened to get the Samuel L. Jackson parts
yeah. Back when the
as
Ultimate
Nick
stuff.
Fury. So Marvel created Nick Fury in the likeness of Samuel L. Jackson, and then
Well-
Samuel L. Jackson got the part to play Nick Fury.
They created the Ultimates version of Nick Fury after Samuel L. Jackson. If we
And
go back
which-
to like the
And which planets, whatever, like Earth 43 are they on right in the MCU or in just Marvel comics?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying. I thought the Ultimates one was like the first one they did that with, and then going forward it was Samuel L. Jackson, because I know some versions still have white Nick Fury, and it's really funny to look at.
Okay. I couldn't come up with one. I've been podcasting a lot, so I didn't have time to research a random fact. So you can reach me on Twitter at Edanar Overwatch. That's EDANAR Overwatch. You can also catch me on Around the Payload, where I guested this week, and I dominated.
I mean, can you really say dominated when you
home-
tied
hold on.
with someone?
To bring home the second Overwatch League Network championship?
Which is okay. That further solidifies why H&D is the flagship, because
Yeah,
that's where the
Like,
winners are.
Totem has a championship. I have a championship. Spider doesn't.
Mhm.
Ramses, you don't.
I haven't been on, so I'm O for O.
Yep, that's
Right.
still low. Slambo never won one. I guess Bob has won one, but he's only on this show. He's not on one of the main two shows. So, yeah, no, H&D, we dominate.
There you have it. Well, as for myself, you can find me on Twitter at TumblyDrunkCTR. So again, guys, I want to thank you so much for hanging out tonight with us on OWL by the numbers. This has been episode number 18.
You can find Ramses on Twitter at Ramses_OW.
Wait to like not plug your own stuff.
Oh no, I was waiting because we did Bob. I did Bob and then Ed's Twitter handles, and then I was gonna insert myself again.
Well, either way, you inserted yourself all over the place. But anyways, we will
Yeah.
see you guys back
Title
tomorrow
of your
night.
sex tape.
That could be. We'll see you guys tomorrow night for our next episode of Here's Never Die, when we'll talk, I'm sure, about Workshop. Because we do that every week now, because
And
it's
a
an awesome
lot
feature.
of random. And I'm gonna go on a Fusion University tomorrow.
Absolutely, guys. Take care. Have a good night.
Take care.
Later.